Greetings and welcome back as we continue to model out our Battlestar Galactica Viper Mark VII. In this video, what I'd like to focus on is getting the wing area attached to the fuselage. And I went really back and forth in my head as to whether or not I wanted to do this. Does it, create too much excess geometry? Is it, good or bad for this reason or the other? And I think I've decided to go ahead and do it just for... well, I think I just like it better. That and just texturing, I think, is going to be a little easier if I can get these down into one piece. So that's what I'm going to do. And it looks like it won't really even be all that hard. So what I've got to do for starters, though, is clean out a hole that I can use. So let's hit Control-Tab-F. I'm already in edit mode, and I'm just going to start nuking out faces that I don't need. So I can do this from inside relatively easily. So let's grab you and all of these guys here. And that'll make a hole. Now, there will be a little bit of decision work as to who gets kind of merged where. Let me grab this vertex right here, and then this guy. We can go ahead and merge those together. So, at last, boom, those look pretty good. And let's see, let's go back out to our solid view. Now we're going to have to do a little bit of back and forth here. So I'm going to take this vertex, and let's move it forward. Now in this case, what we can do, in fact this will probably make our lives a whole lot easier. Let's switch over to the side view, and we'll go into wireframe, and I can just start placing these vertices right along the edge as seen directly in the image. And the cool thing about doing that is, of course, that I can use those as snapping points. So let's take a look at the top view, because I know I was protruding in a little deeply, really deeper than I need to. So we can pull that out, and so on. And that can actually come out pretty far. And, excuse me. So let's grab this guy, jump over to the top view, and let's see, that can be pulled out a ways. And that's a good enough place to kind of get us rolling. So let's just go from there. So I'll get us out of wireframe view. And some of these look like they're going to be pretty easy, at least for starters. We can grab you and Alt-M, blam, grab these two, and merge. Now, this is where it starts to get fun, because we're probably going to end up having to add some more geometry in here, but let me see how far I can get without having to do that first. Because I can kind of blend this so that that's not so much of a change in direction. We can blend this a little bit as well. Now here stuff starts to get pretty interesting. What I think I'm going to do is actually take out a few more faces. So let's go to our face selection. I want these all gone, all the way back to here. And we'll just nuke those out. Now if I switch back over to vertices, we can grab these and attach. Let me switch over to edges, and we can grab you and you. And I could probably get away with just hitting F. I could go either way there. Let's try this way first. If it works, great. If it doesn't, that's okay too. I can fix it some other way. Let's grab this edge, hit E, grab this edge, hit E, grab vertices, and merge, grab these two merge. And I really don't like the way that that edge is flowing. That's just not speaking to me very nicely. So I'm going to undo that. Well, let's undo it the fun way. We'll just nuke out those faces. And what I want to do instead is let's switch back over to edges. I'll grab these and fill in like so. And then we'll grab this guy and we'll extrude this back. Grab these two and fill in. Ooh, that looks really odd. Oh, okay, well that's why it looks odd. Alright, well, let's just get that kind of cleaned up. Those extrusions are just going in all kinds of mad directions. Wow, that's like the best extrusion ever. You know what? I don't want to put up with that. Kablam. Now back over here. Over to vertices. Let's merge that at the last point. Pull this back. Let's switch over to edges, grab you and you. So I just hit E and then right clicked, so I mean I can just use the manipulator to kind of get this positioned. Let's go back over to the side view. And let's go into wireframe view, and let's grab vertices. Merge. Alright. Now, these two we can go ahead and merge together. Probably do that. Back and forth as to whether I like that maneuver. Let's try doing it the other way. Let's fill that in and then fill that in. Okay. I still don't really care for what this is doing, but I'll clean that up in a bit. What I may end up doing is adding another edge that just trails up over the top, but maybe not. We'll just kind of see. I'm just going to keep on rolling for now. We could also probably get rid of this detail right in here. We'd lose a little bit of that rounding. I just don't know how much of a problem that would be. I mean, there might be enough detail right in here to support all of that. I guess the least we could do is just try it and just see what we get out of it. So let me switch back over to vertices. We'll grab these two verts, Alt-M, and we'll merge these at center, Shift-R, Shift-R. That's probably enough detail to get some nice rounding. Let's just jump over here. Yeah, I think that'll be just fine. We don't need that extra detail anyway. And then we can take this and kind of pull it down a little. Okay, well that's mostly attached already. Now, let's see, what other bugs do we have? Let's hit Control-Tab-E, and I'll just grab these two edges like so, and we'll fill those in. Now we have some more attachment that we can do down here. So let's start bringing the wing over to where the fuselage is. So I'll switch back over to vertices, grab you and you, Alt-M at last. And it looks like, well, we could go both ways with this. I do kind of like the shape that was created by all of this excess detail, but we don't necessarily have to have all of it. For instance, we can probably get rid of this. So if I go to edges and grab here, let's see, we just do an edge slide. Could go ahead and pull that to there. That lines up pretty well. Yeah, I think I'll do it that way. Let's just go with that. And I'll come over here. There's a whole bunch of ways to do what I'm doing right now. This is just one of them. If I nuke these out. And then we can take our wing and attach that. Okay, and something else we could do, because we got some nice detail going on down there. We might be able to get away with this. Grab you and you. Alt M, merge those to last. I just don't like what that is doing. Maybe a split from right over here to connect those, and just run this guy all the way up to the front. Would be fine. So if we grab U and U, Alt M, and merge that up to the last. I pull this forward just a little bit. Then, well, yeah, let's do it this way. Let's grab this face and we'll nuke it for just a moment. We'll hit Control R and we'll drop an edge in right about here. And then we'll switch back over to vertices, grab these, merge to last, grab edges, and hit F. And then we can switch back over to vertices once again, grab these two, and merge to last. So that's now all connected. Maybe if I just kind of even some of this detail out, I won't be quite so bothered by what I'm seeing there. Yeah, I think we can go with that. I mean, I kind of want to clean up what's going on down here, but I think it'll work okay, even without that. I could just smooth it. Yes, I know that by clicking the smooth button, I kind of blow up what's going on up here, but that's alright. For the time being, that's just fine. So now that is all one piece. These are not one piece. Neither is this, but that's okay. So, we're only about 13 minutes in, which is really good. That gives me more time to start putting some other stuff together. We can start moving forward toward the front of the fuselage, which is great. So let's start off at the top view. Back in edit mode. And what I want to do is grab edges. I want this edge here. Yeah, that'll be fine. And let's go back over the top view. And we're going to extrude that out. It's about here. Now, what is going to probably help a little bit is to let you guys see kind of what I'm seeing here. So we've got this sort of rounded spot right up here. And then there's a nice ripple, like a crease in the surface that rolls right back up. It kind of repeats the shape and goes up into the canopy. However, this crease diminishes all the way out to nothing by the time you make it to the nose, and you can see that really nicely here, where by the time we make it up here it's just nice and round. It's only back here you get like that crease that adds in. So we got a crease, it fades away, and it's gone right about the time we make it to here. So that's what we need to do. We've already got the basis to right up about here in place. What I'm going to do now is I'll start off with what we've done here with pulling this out from the canopy. Let's jump over to the side view for just a moment. And I'll switch over to vertices. Let's just pull this down, not too far down, maybe only right about there. And we'll pull that to about halfway along that little guy there. Okay. Now switch back over to edges. And probably be nice if we were already right along that seam. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's grab, I was thinking about going in a different way, but I'm not going to. Let's extrude this out like so, and then we'll switch over to the edge, and that's going to need to be pulled down, obviously. And it's got to kind of tuck down into that seam. So I'm actually going to give it just a little bit of extra room so we can sink down into it a bit. Then we're going to switch over to edges. And from the top view, we'll do an extrusion to right about here, and then switch over to vertices and start cleaning that up into something meaningful. Go back into wireframe, pull this back. Okay, now in the side view, that's going to be miserably off, but we knew that. So let's grab all these verts and we'll pull them down. Again, we're kind of estimating where all this is going to go anyway. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to pull this back a little from the nose cone, and I'll just give myself a little bit of room to extrude out what the nose is going to do just a little bit later. So we'll just kind of do one crime at a time here. And there's that crease kind of disappearing, and we've got an edge that's leading right along that, which is nice. Okay, so that pulls that out. Now let's focus more on what's going on back here. I don't want to deal with the nose too quickly. We'll get to that. So let's just kind of get all this stuff sort of connected. Okay, now if we take a look back at this picture again, we have kind of a, we could assume that comes out at about a 90-degree angle, then humps over, and we got a secondary hump that goes down to our wing surface. So that's good. What I'm going to do to make that happen is start off by grabbing these edges, because we are building this out from the canopy. I'm going to ignore this edge. We'll just fill that in later. Let's see what the front view looks like. What does the front view look like? Oh, that actually gives us some pretty useful information, all things considered. Let's extrude this out, and I'm just going to take it straight down into that gap. Switch over to vertices, and grab this front one. We'll pull that down. Grab this one. We'll pull that down. Pull that up. Straighten this out. I want those to make a nice straight line, which is good. Now I'll hit Control R and run an edge in between these. Click, go back over to the front view. I'll just pull that up, slide it out a little bit. Nice. Now that done, we can switch over to edges and go edge, edge, F, edge, edge, F. So that fills that in, and so now we can just kind of straighten that out a little bit at the vertex level. Tuck that in. Now I don't really mind that there's a little bit of an upward sweeping there. I mean, I can feel that in the model when I look at it. So we'll just kind of go with that. Alright, now back over here. Let's go back to our front view. And we can pull this in a little bit. Make sure all these guys are hitting that edge. Now, let's only go out to about here. Let's go U, 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 and U. And we're going to extrude and pull you down to here. Switch over to vertices and start cleaning up so that these end up where the wings meet. Now, this is where you got to kind of read the surface. So you see like we have these stripes in the texture. Well, that's where this end vertex is going to need to go. So we can see kind of a stripe leading down from this vertex that goes down to here, which means this guy needs to go all the way over here. And so on and so on. So you're just kind of reading the shape as best you can. And don't beat yourself up too hard if you don't see it right away, because you get a chance to tweak it all out anyhow. Okay, now that we have that in place, let's hit Control R. We'll add in, let's just go with one edge for now. I'll probably end up wanting more than that. I'm sure I'll end up wanting more than that, but we'll just start with the one. And what I'm going to do is pull this up until we get a nice flattish surface across the top and a nearly vertical edge on the sides. About like so, and about like so. Now we can rotate around this, and you can see how that's working. Now, obviously, on the real TV model, that's a pretty deep indentation. Now, we can create that deep indentation a little later if we want, or we could just let that be handled via texturing a little ways down the road. And these actually lined up pretty nice, and then some of them didn't, so let's make them all line up pretty nice. Okay. Now let's take a look from the side. Well, we could probably pull this up so that didn't sweep down quite so low as it does. Alright, so that's looking pretty good so far. We can add some more detail to this, but I don't want to jump on that bandwagon just yet. That'll just result in having to tweak more detail out later. So I just want to get the basis of the shape in place. What I'd really like to do is get this all attached all the way around to the underside of the fuselage, at least up here where the canopy is, and then we can just kind of work forward from the nose for a while until we get to the wingtips and the cannons and then the engines and the tail fin and whatnot. But I'm really starting to kind of feel this model pretty well, and hopefully at this point you can too. And we can really sort of feel that Viper starting to come out of all this. Okay, so what I want to do is line these guys up with that edge of the wing, like so, and they're already pretty close. Let's go over to top view, and that's looking pretty marvelous. The only problem we have, really, is what's going on here that will allow us to attach all of this mess. So let's see here. What can I do to solve this little dilemma? Because I want to get this attached to there cleanly. There's a couple of ways I could do this. We get an edge that flowed right along through here. I could just attach everybody in. It doesn't even have to be a really pretty attachment. I have a lot of faces that need to be condensed down, but they'd be up underneath the cowling, so if they started to look a little silly, that's really not even remotely problematic. Let's kind of play with that idea for just a moment. Well, let's worry about the wing real quick. Pick your battles. Looks like I've got an interesting face there that I probably don't need, so let's Control Tab F, boom, and hit X, nuke that out. Now, if I switch over to edges, and grab... Actually, I'd probably add an edge right on through here. So let's hit Control R, drop that in to right about there. Grab these edges, top view, and hit E to extrude. Pull these out to about here. Okay. Now, let's pull these down a little ways. Jump over to the side view and switch over to vertices, grab U and U, and merge to last, which will be great there. Pull this down to the upper edge of the wing, and this as well, and this as well. Sorry about that, guys. Let me go ahead and hit the do not bother me button on the phone. And slide that down. Now, that got attached there, which means we kind of need to do some sort of attachment here as well. What I'm going to do to make that happen is hit Control R, make an attachment there, click, and then let's merge these together. Now, something else I can do to kind of help clean this up would be to add one more edge right along in here. Actually, let me put that in a slightly different way. We'll put it a little bit further back, like so. And then I can grab edges, grab this edge, and fill those in, grab these two edges and fill those in. And really, all that leaves is kind of what's going on in here, which I can take care of that just a little bit later. So yeah, overall, not half bad so far. Now, this is looking a little rocky. What's going on here? You can see there's kind of an upward slant to the wing surface, which I don't like. So let's jump over here, and we have a little bit of cleanup we can do here. It looks like this can probably be brought, let's see, up. There may be a discrepancy between what the side view and the front view are saying to one another, which in that case I will be deferring to the left view. But first, let's do a couple of things. Let's grab... Well, let's get these two vertices here, and let's go ahead and merge them together. We don't need them to stay so separated anymore. And edges. Let's extrude these forward, just to give us a basis to work from. Slide those down. We can go ahead and start attaching some stuff. So, vertex, M at last. And I'll extrude this down to create that little bit of a gap. Grab here, Alt-M, merge at last. So that's all starting to get attached pretty nicely. Now, some of the stuff that's going on here with the wing, we could simplify, especially when we get to here. So if I grab these three, we can merge them at last. Whoops, I just got to select them in the right order to make that happen. So I grab the middle one last, and then merge those. So Alt-M at last, left, right, middle, Alt-M, last. Now let's take a look from the top view, and that just narrowed down the number of vertices we really need to get our shape, because this is actually a pretty straight line. So we might as well make use of that. Let's pull this back, and then we'll make this relatively straight as well. Take a look from the front, and we can see where there's a couple of alignment issues. Straighten those up a little. There'll be a lot of tweaking to do on this guy when I get him done. Okay, so I'm actually tempted to collapse these guys down as well. I think I'm going to. We just don't need that much detail right in there. Not at this point. And we'll leave that. Well, we could crush it down on the canopy and probably be just fine. Either one. I think it's fine where it is. We'll just leave it for now. Okay, now a couple of problem areas that I want to at least mention that are plaguing me a little bit will be how we close up this little engine area. I got a couple of ideas for how I want to do that, but it's going to boil down to testing those ideas out and seeing which ones work the best. I'm not convinced yet that we really need to attach these pieces, but I mean we could if we're just kind of doing it for an academic exercise, just to see if we can come up with some nice detail to turn this all into a single shell. We could do that, but it's not really necessary. For that matter, some of the attachment I did in here was probably not as necessary either. As a matter of fact, if I was to, now that I've got it all lined up nice and neatly with attachment, if I was to go back and detach it from itself, I could start merging some of the vertices of the lower shape and probably save a few vertices and faces here and there. I'm not quite convinced I really need to do that just yet. However, we are about 32 minutes in, and we've got some nice progress done in this video, so I think I'll go ahead and call it here. I want to thank you all for watching, and I look forward to working with you again in the next video. Thanks a lot.